Hey CDA and welcome back to Clanfolk. It's the third day of our little colony over here, and today we are going to try and finish our house and then get some real civility going on and some real technological progress. Hopefully, because we definitely have some things that we want to improve upon. Now, in order to do that, I think we want to clear out some of these stumps. We probably also want to clear out this grass in this direction so we have some more room to work with. But first things first, I'm just gonna go and kind of wait for our people to finish our roof before we do anything else, because otherwise we are going to really regret that. Alright, so the most important things about our roof have been built. As you can see, we have some area over our working space. We are still in the progress of finishing this roof, but for now this will do. In order to make sure our whole situation is as efficient as it can be, we are going to move a couple of things. So we have access to some storage objects, and generally speaking it makes sense to have the storage close to where you actually are going to use it. Now we have a branch pile already over there, so we can actually, we have two of those for some reason. Not entirely sure why that is. But we also can make a few new ones. So we have a stone pile, which we can probably just place wherever. We don't have a specific use for stones at the moment. The haystack we are probably going to want to place close to our thresher, because that's where it's going to be used. And that also means that we want the straw to be close to there. The rock heap makes sense as well. Let's have some rock heaps over there. We already have a meat rack and a serving basket. We could actually place another serving basket in our home. I mean, why not? And we also probably want to make sure we move this under our roof at some point. Although we're not in a huge hurry when it comes to that. Now we need more straw. No, I didn't actually want to clear out that stump. Oh. I want more grass to be cleared over here. And probably as well over here. Now why is this? Oh, this is actually about to break, and this is why the auto supply is very useful, because that will actually allow us to make sure that we automatically keep replacing those. Now we also want a kiln. That will allow us to make charcoal. And I'm not entirely sure. Let's build that like... we probably want to build the kiln actually somewhere over here, because it's close to the clay. Do we though? Let me think about that for a moment. It's not a huge deal. It's not that far away from the clay. So I'm actually thinking we should probably build it over here, so we can kind of make some smaller rooms. And let's move this one next to the kiln. There we go. The butcher block is really interesting as well. How are we doing on that roof? We have roof everywhere except for the places where we're going to sleep. That's interesting. I'll actually let them finish that before we continue building that, but we do probably want to have some roofs on this side as well, so we can have some working areas over there. Some gravel paths are going to be interesting. Now you can actually set a path overlay, so you can kind of see where your people are moving around. And as you can see, we have a lot of people moving in this general area. And kind of around the house as well. Maybe we can do it something like this. And that will just speed up how fast they move around. Now we're giving them a lot of building orders once again. We are going to auto-produce some charcoal. Let's put this to 20 or something. And some wood ash. Sure, why not? We don't need a lot of that, but let's put that to 10. Now this kiln will actually start producing this, and the reason I'm actually queuing this up is because we will need it to unlock a few more things. Now we already reached the end of the third day. It's probably going to rain tomorrow, and this is where the roof will be coming in handy very much. Now there's still sleeping, looking at the stars, as you can see. We might want to just set this to priority for a moment, just to make sure we're actually building this. Because for some reason they like building everything else as well. Which is fine to some extent, but we do want to make sure we're actually prioritizing some of the other things as well. Now let's jump to the next day. And good morning! I just queued up a few more things for the food production, so we are going to collect some more mushrooms. I also want to collect some more berries. We have quite a few berries over here, so let's make sure we make use of those. We do have some food, but we definitely can use more food than we currently have. Now, how are we doing on fish? We are producing 10 every day, but for the moment that seems to be fine. We're still at 95%. So that means we can actually ramp up this production as well. That's not what I wanted to do. Let's do this something like this. We can actually set this to an auto supply of 30, 40. That should make sure it's always cooking eels that we have available to us. As you can see, we have quite a few eels in our inventory still. I'm not entirely sure why it says we have such a low... Oh, these are raw eels actually, so we are not cooking them just for the moment. There we go, now we're cooking them. Okay, so the roof has been finished. We are now collecting some stones in order to finish our roads. Let's see, that should be fine as well. Let's make sure we keep gathering some clay. And let's clear out some of these reeds so we can replant them and make sure we have a bit of straw to work with as well. Now we unlocked our kiln, and that will allow us to make some pottery items, and they are going to be extremely useful as well. Why can't I build over here? What did I actually build here? What's this? The branch pile. Oh yeah, okay, sure. Yeah, that's fine actually. But we still want to kill, and we are going to build that over here. Now these actually don't spark, so that's really nice. Unlocked corpses. Not entirely sure why actually. However, if we have corpses, that kind of suggests that we also have some corpses anywhere on the map. So let's build this. I actually want to double check. This doesn't actually care about being in the cold or in the water or in the rain. I mean, needed raw eels. Yes, I'm actually going to set this to something lower, something like 20. Just to make sure it doesn't pop up all the time. We can actually have a stone roof now. There's a rock wall as well. And if we take a look at that, these have a flammability of none. We need large rock and clay in order to make those. And I think we might do that at some point. That will definitely help the environment as well as the speed of moving through. We can also make a rock wall over here. Now the downside of a rock wall is that we actually need large rocks in order to do that. And doing it with the kiln might be a little bit more convenient. Now we have these nice little paths, as you can see. They are now creating those, and they do speed up a lot when they walk across paths. So this is really worth doing. For the same reason, it's also worth actually making sure we have some of that flooring going on in a moment. But for now, we just want to make sure we get our kiln up and running. Now the vacancy sign is actually really interesting as well, because this actually tells travelers that there is a food and a warm bed for them. And it's a really easy way to make some money in this game. As you can see, we currently have 20 currency, but we want some more to go with that in a moment. Well, in a moment, let's make sure we can actually survive first before we start inviting other people here. But we definitely do want to make sure we start doing something with that at some point. Now you can see we currently have some fertilized area over here. That is actually a reason to delete our poop holes. That's just a very, very interesting item you can build and move them a little closer just to make sure we have a larger fertilized area. Is there anything else I forgot to build? We have all the storage, we have all the crafting for the moment. Clothing, definitely we want some clothing. It's mostly made from straw as well as furs. So where are we going to build our clothing area? I think we're actually going to build that over here, which is sort of central to where we are at the moment. That does mean, because if you check out the clothing, doesn't actually say so, but I think it actually needs to be covered in case it rains as well. So that means we are going to go back to our roofs and make sure we have some roof over there as well. We might as well extend it to there. And our people will get on that soon as well. We do need some more stone, so let's make sure we gather that. We have some stone here as well, and some stone in this general area. Kind of try to expand outwards from where we are, just to make sure that we keep things efficient. We actually have a lot of berries over here as well, which we haven't gathered yet. And we now have the sack unlocked, so we can make some sacks. 7 should be fine. The reason I'm doing that is because these sacks will actually be made into clothing at some point to keep our people warm. And it's not ideal. I'm actually going to turn this off from auto supply and just have it cook 20 eels every day, because that pop-up is getting really annoying. And we still need more stones. We are collecting stones now, right? We are. Okay, so we actually unlocked a few new things in terms of hunting as well. We have a hide rack now, which we can place close to the butchering block, so we can dry some hides. We can plant trees and berry bushes now. We probably want to do that over there. And we can make a simple bow. We don't want too many of those, because honestly it's really easy to kill all the animals on your map and then you have a problem. I'm not entirely sure if they come back, but I've definitely had situations where we have very few animals left. And a compost building. We don't actually want that over there. Somewhere close to our poop holes seems fine by me. Now we can make some clothing. And there we go. And that probably also means that we want to have a hide shelf, so we have a place to store all these things. And we just unlocked a few more things. So we have a grain pallet, which we're going to place over there. And we have a jug pallet, which I think we are going to place over here, maybe? Let me think, how are we going to space this out? I think we actually want to place the jugs over here, because we do want to make a small room at some point here, and that means it stays warm. We just unlocked clothing. We can have like a general area for clothes. Might as well put it over here. Just keep that a little bit organized, and we can now hunt wild animals. Now we can actually go hunt like a bunny or two. We do want to make sure we don't overdo that. And like I said, kill all the animals on the map, because that's really easy to do. And that's not what we want. So we have the kiln unlocked now. I do want a pretty decent supply of clay bricks. I also want a pretty decent supply of tiles. And we also want to queue up a few of these jugs. Now that does mean we probably have to go and gather some more clay. So let's get to that as well. Let's see. Let's make some tunics as well. And let's make some hats as well. Now this will make sure we have a lot of clothing for our people. And of course, clothing is a very good thing. Because, you know, people like to be clothed and not run around naked, especially when it's winter. Now we're already getting to the end of the 4th day of summer, so we're going to skip ahead to where people wake up. And now let's figure out what we're going to do on day 5. And there we go, it's another day. We still have quite a bit of food, so we don't have to worry about that too much. But I do want to make sure we are picking up any mushrooms somewhat close to our camp. And there are some mushrooms here and there, just to make sure that we get the mushroom drying rack at some point, because that's going to be really useful towards the fall, when we will have a lot of mushrooms growing, because mushrooms do grow in the fall. And we definitely also want to make sure we start expanding our little base a little further than what we currently are doing. Now we do have access to clay bricks and tiles now, so that is something we're going to want to focus on. How are we doing on those jugs? We are still producing those, but we'll have to wait a moment for that to actually get around. Now, how are we going to approach building our little base over here? In order to heat our base in the winter, we are going to need fires. We have some kilns over here. We have a cooking fire over here, so all of that will give off some heat. Now, in order to make the most out of that, we are going to make sure we have a wall around that. And we currently still don't have access to the actual brick wall. So let's check the ideas and let's see how we actually unlock that. Let's see. Where is the brick? The brick floor is over here. We'll just need to make some bricks for that. So basically it's a matter of just producing a brick and we should be fine with that. So while that is working its way towards that, we can also start making some cloaks. Now I might totally be overproducing clothing, to be honest, at this point, but I'm not entirely sure about that. I like having enough clothing just to make sure people don't get cold. You know, we'll have people dying from the cold if we can help it. In the meanwhile, what we could actually do is we can also set our people to have some clothing baskets. There we go. And we can do the same over here next to our clothing area to make sure that we have some of that going on. Now, in order to do that, we might actually want to extend the roof a little bit, just to make sure we keep everything dry. I mean, why not? What new items did we have? The snare unlocked now, we have the sign unlocked now. Now, in order to make the most out of that, we actually need to have a guest room of some form. How are we going to do that, though? Let me think. We could just have the guests sleep with us. Honestly, that's not the worst idea. It's a lot more straightforward than doing it any other way, honestly. We are also going to place down some floor mats over here in anticipation of the fact that we are going to build ourselves. Are these are flammable? Yep, these are flammable, so we definitely do not want to place that floor mat over there. Can we place it here? Nope, we can't. That's a shame. I'll put a floor mat in anticipation of our actual wall over there. Now, making these jugs actually takes forever. We might want to consider making a second kiln. I think that makes sense, actually. So let's just have a second kiln over here as well. And let's set that to a high priority building. Now we need more straw. That's interesting. We can cut down some of this, as well as some of that. and some of that. And we do actually want to make sure we plant back some of those reeds again. There we go. Just so we can farm them all over again when we want. We also want a manure basket, or two, to make sure we can at some point start doing some farming. Actually, I completely forgot that we cleared out this area in order to start making some berry bushes over here. Now, in order to actually get that going, we also need to gather some berries. And we're going to do that like so. We have about 4 days of food now, so we are doing pretty good on food. We're doing pretty good on clothing. We have our little house set up. Now, what we really need to do is make sure we start focusing a little bit on building out this house a little. And we do need to make sure the fire is within the walls, within the roof, in order to not leak any of that fire, of the heat. We also have some heat coming from over here. But we do want a wall like this, and we want a wall like that. That means that I'm gonna have to place this a little further out. I'm not actually sure if I want the butcher's block over here, or if we're just going to put those out here, maybe. Let's move that. Let's move the rack over there. Let's move that as well. Let's move that over there. And that also means that we should probably extend the roof a little so that we have this area covered. Now we are going to need a lot of straw. We have a lot of that queued up already, so we should be doing fine on that. We don't actually have any... I was about to say we don't have any food area over here, but we do actually have it. And as you can see, we have a lot of food, a lot of seeds. So our chickens are not going to grow hungry anytime soon. And because we now have that extra bed over here, we can actually place down a vacancy sign. And where are we going to place that? Probably something over here, so we know what we're doing and who we're looking at. Now, there are some parts of this game where we are kind of just having to sit around and wait for a couple of these things to complete. As you can see, our people are quite busy with a lot of different things. They want to eat, they need to wash, they need to poop, etc. So that all takes up a little bit of time. That's fine. We also have more and more tasks queued up. We want to have some production going here and there. So that also makes sure that we take some more time. We just made our first tiles, so that's really good. So we can actually make our tile flooring now. And we'll also get some bricks. Now, once we have those first few things going on, let's go and design our house. Okay, our kilns are now in full production. They're making tiles, they're making bricks, and let's make sure we put those to use, because stockpiling them is not going to do us any good. So we are going to make a nice little area over here, and of course we are going to have to put in some doors, just to make sure we can actually get around. And doors will actually block heat, which is a good thing, because we don't want the heat to go out. But in order to have the heat actually going in between rooms, we are going to place a vent over here, just to make sure this heat over here can actually escape into this area. Now, you don't actually necessarily want to heat your entire building, mostly because as long as people stay somewhat warm, that's okay. Indoors is generally warmer than outdoors anyway, but heating up an entire building will take a lot of fire, will take a lot of resources, and until you can make sure that you actually have those resources, I don't recommend going too much all in on that. That said, we do have these kilns and things like that working here as well, so they will also provide heat. Once this is built, we also need to make sure we have a roof over that. I think, how are we doing on rocks and logs? We probably have a lot of that. Inventory is what I was looking for. We have 19 of those. And what else did we need? Logs. We have a lot of those as well. So we might as well just have a stone roof over here, just for a little bit of variation. Now we're actually going to have to collect some more rocks at that point, I believe. So let's make sure we do that. How are we doing on mushrooms as well? There is not a lot of mushrooms over here, to be honest. What I do think we should do is clear these trees, so we have a bit of mushroom production going on there. In a little moment, we are also going to need more grass, so let's make sure we cut some more of that. And that will give our people, once again, a lot to do, but for now it is still night. We are going to have to prioritize building the vacancy sign, because that will actually allow us to get visitors. And we'll just walk around, sleep in our beds, eat our food. Basically what your guests usually do, but they will pay us in order to do that. So that will allow us to start gathering up some money. Well, our little stone house is progressing nicely along. We are going to want to craft a couple more clay jugs, so we have some more water storage, because once again the water will freeze during the winter, so we'll have some way to actually make sure we still get some water. And yeah, all in all, I think we're doing pretty good. We do want to make sure we get some of this stuff indoors as well. Let's see, how are we doing on our roof? We are making a tile roof apparently over here. Yep, we are. And yeah, as we get more tiles, we are doing exactly that. I'm not entirely sure. Oh, sorry, it was a stone roof, not a tile roof, actually. Sorry, my mistake. What do we need in order to make that large rocks and times? Oh, that should all be working out just fine. We have some rocks left. We actually have a lot of rocks lying out in the open as well, but we have a lot of things queued up. So we have building, hauling, mostly hauling, and as you can see, stuff is all over the place at the moment. So that's a little inconvenient. So let's see if we can organize that just a little bit more. Now, in order to do that, let's see, we have a clay bin, which we can probably place down over here, just to make sure it's close to everything else. A masonry pile is definitely what we want, and let's have 2 of those over there, just to make sure we don't have all of that stuff laying out in the open. Is our rock pile full? Nope. Is our rock heap full? Nope. I did actually overproduce my clothing. I only realized that later. I thought I queued up 7 per each, just to make sure we had something for everyone to wear. But it was actually stockpiling 7 each, so that means that on top of what everyone was wearing, I was trying to stockpile 7 more. So now we have clothing all over the place. We also have clothing baskets, which for some reason they are refusing to use, so that's interesting. And we also want to make sure we are starting to put in some flooring. Now we can either do a brick floor or a tile floor. Brick floor works inside and outside. Other than that, the speed bonus is the same. The requirements are the same as well, so I'm not really sure why we would use the tile floor. We can also use the brick floor, considering it's exactly the same amount to produce. So to be honest, I don't think there's a huge difference. But because there's not a huge difference, what we can actually do is use the tile flooring for the inside and use brick flooring for the outside. But first things first, let's make sure we have some tile flooring going in over here, just to make that a little bit more neat. That also means that this needs to go over here, and we probably want to place down this one actually needs to move, because I do want to make sure we have some mats over there. Are you not going to bed, John? Where are you going? You are going to the other side of the world to do what exactly? Oh wait, there's actually a visitor. I completely missed that. Well, that's my bad. He could have been sleeping in the 7th bed, but I completely missed that. And he is now out of here. Anyway, we can do that on the next day, tomorrow. Now, we also want to kind of plan out some other building, because I do think we should finish our roof, of course, but we also should build another brick wall to make sure we get these kilns and stuff aligned like this, and that will also solve the problem that we have with the door over there. Let's see. We can actually pack that up and move that there, or we can pack that up and move that there for a moment. Let's prioritize that. We also need to build some doors. So let's build one over here, one over here, one over here. It's a little bit overkill in terms of the amount of doors maybe, but it doesn't hurt to have a few extra doors to make sure people can get around easily. Now actually I do not want to place that down over here, but this is the kiln. I want the kiln over here, which actually means we also need to reposition those. Let's have those over there. And then we will prioritize those as well. And then we can put down the kiln in the corner over there. It's a little bit more neatly organized. As you can see, the kilns are doing their job. We are building these walls pretty quickly. Which actually reminds me that we do need to make sure we put in some vents as well, so we can share the heat between these rooms. We will be producing some heat in here as well, so that should work fairly decent, I think. I'm not entirely sure about this, to be honest, so we'll build the vents, but we'll have to watch for the actual heat. I'm not entirely sure if I'm actually going to remove this, because initially I just want to make sure this is heated. And this is just a bonus, to be honest. We actually did get a chicken born. And we actually have 2 of them. Look, we have little chicks walking around doing stuff. I'm not entirely sure what you're going to do with that. Are you going to eat it? Or are you just going to sit on it? You are just going to sit on it. Okay, that's fine. We can also build a job board, which basically means we can hire people. We don't have money to do that, but in order to get money, we can also build a trading post, which we are going to do over there in the corner, mainly to make sure it's not in the way of anything. What else? A bloomery is made to make some charcoal ores and stuff like that. We are going to want to do that as well, but not for the moment. We can actually move the grain pallet, I think, over here. We can have a little storage area maybe over there. And in order to do that, maybe let's just stick to straw roofs for the moment. How are we on roofs? Pretty good. We do want to make sure we prioritize these last few remaining roofs, just to make sure that we don't lose the heat over here, because this is the main roof. Everything else in terms of roofs, if we don't finish it, it's not the biggest deal in the world, but we do want to make sure we finish this part of the roof. How are we doing on mushrooms? We still haven't unlocked the mushroom drying, which I don't understand really why. So let's, oh, we actually have a lot of mushrooms over there. So let's collect some more mushrooms. Can we find that over here actually? Important unlocks. Aren't they all kind of important? Let's see, mushrooms. The drying rack. Yeah, there we go. We need 1 more mushroom to unlock that. Okay. Well, that's seems to align kind of with what I thought we would need. We need some more charcoal, which is fine. how are we doing on inventory? We have logs, we have branches. That should all be just fine. Let's speed things up a little bit more. Let's collect some clay before we need it rather than after we need it. We also need to make sure we keep planting our reeds. We have removed a lot of reeds. Let's make sure we replant them. They actually grow really fast. And like I said, they're a really good source of straw. And grass, on the other hand, grows really slowly. We have these little bushes starting to grow over here as well, which is really nice. We just need to make sure we don't accidentally remove them. Been there, done that, not good. Yeah, so that's all going according to plan. And I think it also makes sense to start building maybe some walls. Oh, I really like the tile flooring. Look at this. The tiles are getting a little dirty. That's the downside of that. But other than that, that's looking really good. That means we probably should place down some mats. I always keep forgetting where they are. There we go. Just to make sure people keep their feet clean before entering our pristine homes. Now, we don't actually have enough room for all our animals to sleep. So we will definitely need to make a barn of some kind at some point as well. We can maybe make this our barn, honestly. So let's make a brick wall to extend a little further. And that means we are going to have to place down some doors, as always. To actually make sure we can get in, but we also need to make sure the critters can get in. There we go. And that means that what we could do is actually set a stockpile for food. Like this. Then block everything. And then only have hay seeds and anything else that our chickens eat to go in here. It's now all over here. Interesting. And to be honest, I don't think our chickens really care about the heat, so I'm not going to place a vent over here just yet. But I am going to make sure they have some nice floor tiling, because why not? I'm entirely sure that's a smart thing to have our chickens walk over pretty floors and then probably dirtying them up, but there's something like being just having fun rather than just being efficient. That means we have a lot scheduled, and I do think by now we need to end this episode. We have expanded our little settlement quite a bit. We have progressed through the technology tree quite a bit as well, so we are now actually living in stone houses and things like that, although we're still sleeping on the floor, so we have some progress to go in that direction. But we'll have to sort that out over the next few episodes. We are nearing the end of summer. We're only on day 7, so I think we've made a huge amount of progress for the fact that we're only on day 7. But yeah, let me know once again in the comments how you think I'm doing. If you have any comments on things I should be doing different, if you have played this game. If you haven't played the game, I really recommend that you do try and check it out. Don't forget, if you're still here, you're awesome, and make sure you like and subscribe if you haven't done that yet, and leave a comment. That's always really helpful for the algorithm as well. And I hope I catch you in the next one.